The first warning it was an ordinary morning on Earth, at least at first. The sun rose in the sky, casting golden light over bustling cities and quiet towns. People were going about their daily routines, unaware of the invisible changes happening. Above them, in space, far beyond the reach of human eyes, something was stirring. Something was watching. It began as a whisper, a signal picked up by Earth's top space observatories. At first, it seemed like nothing more than random noise, the usual static that comes from deep space, but then the signal began to repeat itself. It was a pattern, not a mistake, and it caught the attention of Dr. Ethan Callaway, the lead scientist at Earth's largest space research facility. He sat at his desk, eyes glued to the monitor as the signal grew clearer. It was unlike anything he had encountered before. This isn't just static, he murmured to himself, barely daring to believe what he was seeing. This is deliberate. His heart raced as he typed rapidly, trying to decode the transmission. It didn't take long for the realization to sink in. This was no random noise, it was a message. Callaway immediately alerted his colleagues, but they were just as baffled as he was. The message was encrypted, the language unfamiliar, and yet it felt urgent. Whatever it was coming from somewhere far beyond the edge of the solar system. It seemed to be directed at Earth, but why? Word spread quickly, reaching Earth's military and government leaders. Panic began to creep into the atmosphere. Governments scrambled to respond, but no one knew what to do. There was no history of this, no protocol for an alien signal. What if it was a threat? What if it was a warning? The possibilities were endless, and none of them felt good. As the signal continued, its frequency grew more intense, its rhythm more deliberate. It wasn't just a warning, it was a challenge. Dr. Callaway and his team worked day and night to decode it, but they were no closer to understanding its true meaning. The message was clear enough, but it seemed to speak of something much larger, something Earth wasn't ready for then. 2 weeks after the first signal, everything changed. The sky over Earth's major cities darkened and a loud, unnatural hum filled the air. It was like the world was holding its breath. People stopped in their tracks, looking up at the sky, wondering what was happening. The signal, which had been growing in intensity, had now turned into a loud, piercing message that echoed across Earth. The voice that filled the air was cold, distant, and filled with authority. It wasn't coming from any radio transmission, it wasn't even coming from Earth's own technology. It was everywhere. The voice, deep and commanding, resonated in the minds of every person on the planet, as if it was speaking directly to them. This is your first and final warning. Do not enter our space. Do not challenge us. We have been watching you, and now you will learn the cost of your ignorance. If you refuse to comply, we will show you what happens to those who dare provoke us. The message cut off abruptly, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. It was as if the entire planet had just been held in the grip of something far beyond its control. The voice had not just been a transmission, it had been a warning to humanity. And whatever it was, Earth's fate now seemed tied to this mysterious force, this unknown enemy that had just declared itself. At first, Earth's leaders were paralyzed. They didn't know what to make of it. Was this an alien race? What did they want with Earth? Why had they been watching the planet in secret? The questions were endless, and the fear was palpable. There were no immediate answers, just an overwhelming sense of dread that had swept across the globe. In the command centers around the world, military leaders began to prepare for the worst. Humanity had been warned, but they had no idea what the cost of defiance would be. Could the voice have been a trick? Could it be some kind of elaborate hoax? The uncertainty gnawed at the minds of Earth's leaders, but they all knew one thing: Earth wasn't prepared for an invasion. General Claire Hastings, one of Earth's top military strategists, was quick to act. She gathered her team of experts to assess the situation. We don't know who or what we're dealing with yet, she said, her voice calm but firm. But one thing is clear: we need to prepare for something bigger than we've ever faced. The next few days were filled with frantic planning. Earth's defense systems were upgraded, and emergency protocols were set in motion. But deep down, General Hastings knew they were working with incomplete information. Earth had no idea what kind of enemy they were dealing with. Was it an alien species, a rogue faction from another part of the galaxy, or something else entirely? As Earth's forces scrambled to respond, Dr. Callaway continued to analyze the signal. The message had come from somewhere beyond Earth's reach, far beyond their most advanced satellites. But something in the data was starting to stand out. There was a pattern in the signal, something that suggested this was not just a random encounter. This was deliberate. It's not just a message, Dr. Callaway said one day, his voice filled with urgency. It's a warning, yes, but it's also a map. They're showing us their territory. His words hung in the air like a heavy fog. If the aliens had truly marked out their space, then they were giving humanity a chance to back down. But the question remained, why had they singled out Earth? The answer was still unclear. But the one thing everyone on Earth now knew was this: no one could ignore the warning. As Earth's leaders prepared for the unknown, the galaxy held its breath. What would Earth's response be? Would they challenge the unknown force, or would they cower in the face of a threat they couldn't even understand? The galaxy's attention was now fully on Earth, and as the first battle for humanity's survival began to take shape, the cost of ignoring the warning became a question that Earth would soon have to answer. The first clash message had been clear: do not challenge us. Yet, despite the ominous warning, Earth was not one to back down. For generations, humanity had fought to survive, often against impossible odds. Now, standing at the threshold of an unknown and possibly galactic-scale war, Earth's leaders had no choice but to face the threat head-on. But even as the world's defense systems were being upgraded, and military forces were prepared for combat, a sense of uncertainty lingered. Humanity had never fought an enemy like this before. No species had dared to invade human space. The power behind the message had been palpable, and the cost of failure was beyond comprehension. Yet, General Claire Hastings, determined as always, knew that Earth had to make a stand. "We can't let them believe we're weak," she said, addressing the world's military leaders in a top-secret global meeting. "If they think they can take us without consequence, they will. But if we show them that we won't just lie down and let them trample us, maybe we have a chance." Hastings knew the risk. No one could know what kind of weapons the aliens possessed, nor how advanced their technology really was. But she also knew one thing for certain: Earth's military was well prepared. The satellites, fighter jets, and interstellar defense systems weren't the most advanced in the galaxy, but they had never failed humanity before. She wasn't about to let them fail now. Across the world, military units began their preparations. The air was thick with tension as Earth's space stations went on high alert, ready to fire on anything that entered human space. But as they watched the skies, the question on everyone's mind remained: would the aliens honor their warning? Or was this the beginning of a devastating war? Then, without warning, it happened. On the 5th day after the transmission, the first alien ships appeared on the edge of Earth's solar system. They were massive, vast, dark ships that seemed to blot out the stars as they entered the solar system. They were followed by smaller vessels, all with advanced, sleek designs. They were like nothing Earth had ever seen. The ships did not open fire. Instead, they hovered just beyond the planet's orbit, waiting. The silence was almost worse than an attack itself. Humanity watched in suspense, unsure if this was a prelude to war or an act of intimidation. It was Dr. Ethan Calloway who first realized what was happening. "They're not coming to conquer," he said, speaking into the communications line, his voice shaky with revelation. "They're waiting. They're testing us." It was a truth no one wanted to hear. The aliens had come to provoke, to see how far humanity would go. It wasn't a direct assault, it was a challenge. If Earth showed fear, if humanity hesitated or faltered, the invaders would strike. But if humanity fought back, then the stakes would escalate, and no one knew where that would lead. General Hastings made the call: "We engage. We will show them what it means to challenge human space." The first clash occurred just hours later. The alien ships moved closer, a few taking position above Earth's largest cities, while others gathered around critical military installations. It was clear they had their targets, and Earth's military was underprepared. The enemy fired first, not with full-scale weapons, but with an energy pulse, a disruptive wave that knocked out communications and scrambled defense systems. The attack wasn't meant to destroy, but to disable, and yet humanity was far from defeated. As the pulse hit Earth's defense satellites, knocking out half of the planet's communications systems, General Hastings gave the order: "Deploy everything we've got." From Earth's defense stations, hundreds of fighter jets launched into the sky, armed with the most advanced weapons humanity had. They launched a series of counterattacks, while the alien ships were far more advanced. Earth's fighters were agile and unpredictable. The invaders were caught off guard by the sheer determination and speed of Earth's forces. The first real battle began with chaos. Alien ships retaliated with devastating beams of energy, tearing apart Earth's smaller fighters. But the human forces fought back with everything they had: missiles, laser fire, and high-speed attacks tore into the alien fleet, causing serious damage to the invaders' ships. The battle was fierce. But what truly stunned both sides was how Earth's fighters, far less advanced than the alien ships, fought with a sheer willpower that the invaders hadn't anticipated. As the first skirmish raged on, Earth's forces realized something even more critical: the enemy was not indestructible. Their ships could be damaged, their technology disrupted, and most importantly, the alien forces seemed to be caught off guard by humanity's ability to adapt in the heat of battle. Then, as the battle wore on, something unexpected happened. A massive alien ship, seemingly the command vessel, began to pull back, retreating from Earth's defenses. The rest of the alien fleet followed suit, pulling back to the edges of Earth's solar system. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity had fought back successfully. But the victory was bittersweet. Earth's cities lay in ruins, and lives had been lost in the desperate fight to defend humanity's borders. The alien forces were not defeated, only pushed back. But for the first time, the invaders had been forced to retreat. General Hastings stood amidst the wreckage, her eyes scanning the horizon. "This isn't over," she said quietly, "but we've shown them something. We've shown them that Earth will fight, and that's something they didn't expect." The galaxy was now watching. Humanity had made its first move in the war that would change everything. It wasn't just about defense anymore. It was about standing tall and facing the unknown with the same strength that had defined humanity for centuries. The hidden truth battle had been won, but the war was far from over. Humanity had fought back against the alien invaders with determination and skill, forcing them to retreat, but the victory came at a steep price. Earth cities lay in ruin, and countless lives had been lost in the desperate struggle. Despite the victory, the question on everyone's mind remained: why had the invaders attacked in the first place? General Claire Hastings knew that the fight wasn't over. The enemy had retreated, but they hadn't been defeated. The silence that followed the battle was eerie, a lull before the next wave of the storm. Earth had become a battleground, and it seemed as though the invaders were only just getting started. "We've pushed them back," Hastings said to her team in the war room, "but we can't stop here. The next time they come, they'll come with everything they have. We need answers. We need to know why they attacked us in the first place." Dr. Ethan Calloway, who had been working tirelessly to decode the mysterious alien transmissions, stood beside her. He had been analyzing the data recovered from the battle. But every time he thought he was close to understanding their enemy, something new would emerge to throw him off course. "I've been trying to figure it out, Claire," Dr. Calloway said, his voice weary. "The transmissions we've intercepted, they're not just threats. There's something deeper going on here, something the aliens are hiding from us." His words were cryptic, but they spoke volumes. Dr. Calloway had discovered something in the alien signal that no one had expected. It was buried deep within the encrypted messages, a hidden pattern that, when decrypted, revealed the unthinkable. The aliens, it seemed, were not the only ones involved in this war. They were acting on behalf of something far older, far more powerful, a force that had been manipulating galactic events for centuries. As Dr. Calloway's research unfolded, it became clear that humanity had unwittingly become a key player in a much larger cosmic game, a game of power and survival played by ancient races that had shaped the galaxy's history. The revelation was staggering. "It's not just about Earth," Dr. Calloway said, his eyes wide with disbelief. "These aliens, they're not here to conquer us, they're here to stop us. Humanity isn't just another species in the galaxy. We're part of something far greater, something ancient." General Hastings stared at him, trying to process the implications. "What do you mean?" "The aliens are afraid of us," Dr. Calloway continued. "But not because of our weapons or our technology. They fear what we represent. Humanity is the last remnant of a lost race, the ancients, the very beings who seeded life across the galaxies. We are their legacy, and the aliens, they know that if we awaken to our true power, we could change the balance of the entire universe." The truth was as simple as it was terrifying. The invaders hadn't come to Earth just because of its strategic location or its resources. They had come to prevent humanity from unlocking the ancient power that lay dormant within their genes. A power so vast, so dangerous, that it could alter the course of the galaxy. The invaders were desperate to keep humanity from realizing their potential, and they would stop at nothing to achieve that goal. "What happens if they succeed?" Hastings asked, her voice grim. "They'll destroy us," Dr. Calloway replied, without hesitation, "and in doing so, they'll ensure that the galaxy remains under their control. Humanity must never awaken to its true potential. If we do, it will mean the end of their reign." General Hastings clenched her fists. "Then we can't let that happen." Back in the field, Earth's military forces were scrambling to recover from the battle. The alien fleet had retreated, but they were not gone. Their withdrawal had only been a temporary tactic. The enemy had more ships, more resources, and more advanced technology than humanity had yet seen. Earth's forces had proven they could hold their own, but the next battle would be even more difficult. The stakes were higher, and the pressure was mounting. As the military regrouped, General Hastings began to formulate a new strategy. She knew that the fight wasn't just about defending Earth. It was about protecting humanity's legacy, a legacy they didn't even fully understand yet. The enemy was hunting them, not because they were weak, but because they were a threat to the galaxy's established order. Humanity had become a symbol of something the alien forces couldn't control. The galaxy, for all its wonders, was about to witness the rise of a power that had been hidden for eons. In the quiet moments after the battle, as the dust settled over Earth's cities, Dr. Calloway and his team continued to work tirelessly, trying to understand the nature of the alien forces, the signals they had intercepted, the cryptic messages, and the strange energy patterns from the battle all pointed towards something much larger. A galactic struggle that had been playing out long before humanity even existed. But what they didn't know was that the aliens weren't the only ones watching. The universe itself seemed to be holding its breath, waiting to see which side humanity would choose. Would Earth defend its place in the cosmos and awaken the power that lay dormant within them? Or would they be silenced forever, crushed by the ancient forces that sought to suppress them? For now, humanity was still standing. But the cost of their survival was mounting, and the true nature of the war had only just begun. The galactic struggles, Earth's forces continued to regroup, and the scars of the previous battle were slowly patched over. An unsettling calm spread across the planet. General Claire Hastings knew this peace was nothing more than an illusion. Humanity had won the first skirmish, but the true war was just beginning. The invaders had retreated, but their retreat was not a sign of surrender. It was a calculated move. They were reorganizing, planning their next attack. And now humanity had more enemies to face than ever before. Dr. Ethan Calloway, still reeling from the revelations about the ancients and humanity's hidden role in the galaxy, spent every waking moment trying to decode the fragments of alien technology and data they had recovered. Every piece of the puzzle brought more answers, but also more questions. Humanity's place in the universe was no longer as simple as surviving. It was about unlocking something that had been hidden for millennia. The invaders weren't after Earth's resources, they were after the legacy of humanity. Something older and more powerful than anything Earth's people had ever known. It was only when Dr. Calloway deciphered a fragment of the alien data that the true scope of the conflict became clear. The invaders weren't alone. There were others, ancient factions that had been watching humanity from the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. And their motives were more complex than anyone could have imagined. These factions had been battling over control of the galaxy for centuries, manipulating the destinies of countless civilizations. Humanity was nothing more than a pawn in a much larger game, but it was also the key. As Calloway presented his findings to General Hastings, the weight of their implications hit her like a thunderclap. They've been playing this game for eons, Calloway explained, his voice tinged with both awe and fear. And Earth was never meant to survive. We were created for a purpose, to become part of something far bigger than us. And now we're caught in the middle of a galactic struggle that we don't even understand. Hastings, normally calm and collected in the face of danger, felt a pang of uncertainty. We've been used, she murmured. But what for? Calloway's face grew grim. That's the part we don't know yet. The ancients, the beings who seeded life across the galaxy, left behind a hidden power. Earth is the final piece of the puzzle, and the invaders know that if we unlock it, we'll be able to reshape the galaxy in ways they can't control. The realization was staggering. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival anymore, they were fighting for control over the future of the universe itself. If they could harness the power locked within their DNA, they would become the dominant force in the galaxy. But that also meant they were now a target for every faction that had ever fought for control of the cosmos. The alien invaders, now fully aware of humanity's potential, had no choice but to go to war. But the war was no longer just about defeating an enemy, it was about dominating the entire galaxy. About becoming the force that would control the ancient power that Earth held within its very DNA. As the days passed, the military forces of Earth worked tirelessly to prepare for what was coming. The invasion had only been the beginning. Now, the galaxy's ancient factions were starting to show their hands. Ships from other distant star systems appeared on the outskirts of Earth's orbit, some bearing insignia that had not been seen in millennia. Earth was now the center of attention, a battleground for races that had fought for control of the stars. Long before humanity had ever known what space even was. In the midst of all this chaos, a shadowy figure appeared on Earth, a former member of the alien faction that had first attacked Earth. This figure had been part of the enemy force that had once tried to invade human space, but now, it came with a warning. The mysterious figure appeared on a hidden communication channel, speaking directly to General Hastings and Dr. Calloway. You don't understand the stakes, the alien said, its voice cold and calculated. The power you've unleashed is not meant for your kind. It was never meant for you. You are merely a pawn in a much older war, one that has been fought in the shadows for eons. The factions that now seek your power will not stop until they have it, and when they do, The galaxy will be reshaped in ways that none of you are prepared for. Dr. Calloway stepped forward, his eyes narrow with suspicion. Why are you warning us? The alien hesitated, then spoke with a tone of regret. Because I've seen what will happen if you continue down this path. The factions will destroy everything, your world, your people, your future, but there is another way. You don't have to be their pawn. There's a choice you must make. And you must make it now. General Hastings could feel the weight of those words pressing down on her. The galaxy's ancient factions were closing in, and they were not going to stop. Earth had awakened a power it didn't fully understand. And now it was caught in a war it never wanted to fight. Tell us what we need to do. Hastings said, her voice steady but filled with urgency. We'll do whatever it takes to protect humanity. The alien's response was quiet but final. It's not just about surviving anymore. It's about choosing who you will become. Will you be the saviors of this galaxy, or will you become the very thing you fear? The communication ended abruptly, leaving more questions than answers. As the warning echoed in their minds, General Hastings and Dr. Calloway exchanged a look. It was clear that humanity's future was no longer in their hands alone. They were now part of a larger cosmic struggle, one that would determine not just the fate of Earth, but the entire galaxy. Asterisk, the choice that will define us. Days following the mysterious alien warning felt like an eternity. Humanity stood at a precipice, the weight of decisions to come pressing heavily on every leader. Every citizen. The world had come together in ways never before seen, united by a common cause, survival. But as Earth's forces readied themselves for the impending galactic war, General Claire Hastings and Dr. Ethan Calloway knew that the real battle wasn't going to be just about military strength. It would be a battle of choices, of what humanity would stand for in this galactic struggle. The alien faction's warning still echoed in their minds. You must choose who you will become. It wasn't just a question of survival, it was about defining humanity's role in the vast, unknown universe. And as Earth's military continued its preparations for the war ahead, both Hastings and Calloway knew that the galaxy wasn't waiting for Earth to make up its mind. The factions closing in on them weren't interested in diplomacy or negotiations. They wanted one thing: control over the power that humanity had inadvertently unleashed. Dr. Calloway spent sleepless nights in his lab, trying to decipher the alien technology they had recovered. The mysteries of the core, the hidden power that was now part of humanity's DNA, consumed him. The more he discovered, the more he realized the immense potential within humanity and how dangerously close they were to unlocking something that could change everything. The technology didn't just threaten Earth's survival. It had the power to alter the very fabric of reality if wielded wrongly. It could rewrite the laws of the universe. But despite his discoveries, Calloway couldn't shake the feeling of unease. What would happen if the factions seeking the power found a way to control it first? Would humanity become the galaxy's savior, or would they fall into the hands of forces far older and more powerful than they could comprehend? Claire, Calloway said one evening, his voice weary but determined, I've been thinking. The technology we're dealing with is so far beyond us that we might not even fully understand what we're unlocking. The power inside us, inside our genes, is something that the galactic factions have feared for eons. We've always thought of it as a weapon, but what if it's more than that? What if humanity is meant for something greater? General Hastings listened carefully, absorbing every word. We can't afford to wonder about what ifs, Ethan, right now. We need to focus on the fight ahead. But I hear you, we can't just fight blindly. We need to understand what we're up against. Calloway nodded. The factions won't wait much longer. Earth has two paths ahead of it. We can either fight to defend our survival, or we can choose to embrace the power within us and lead the galaxy. We can't be the galaxy's victim anymore. We have to define who we are. Hastings' eyes narrowed as she considered his words. They had never truly understood the cosmic significance of humanity's existence. For centuries, Earth had been a small, insignificant world in the vastness of space. Now, they were standing at the center of a cosmic storm. The choice was no longer about just surviving, it was about deciding what kind of future they would create. As Earth's military prepared for the next phase of the war, a surprising message arrived from the alien faction that had once attacked Earth. The defectors, these aliens, once loyal to the galactic empires, had seen the horrors of the war and the devastating effects of the ancient power. They now sought refuge in the very thing they had once tried to destroy. They wanted to join forces with humanity. The message was simple but profound. We no longer wish to fight. The galaxy's future is at stake, and we believe that humanity is the only hope of saving it. Help US end the war. General Hastings stared at the communication in disbelief. Was this a trick? Or had the war shifted so drastically that even the invaders were beginning to see the necessity of an alliance? Calloway was quick to analyze the situation, Claire. This is an opportunity we can't ignore if the defectors want peace. We could have an ally against the others, but we need to be cautious. There's still a lot we don't understand about their true motives. The message was sent across the globe and the debate began. Could Earth trust the defectors? Or were they trying to manipulate humanity for their own gain? Some saw this as a sign of hope, a chance to unite against the forces threatening them. Others were more suspicious, wary of trusting former enemies who had already shown their ruthless side. Hastings convened with her council, considering all the possibilities. We've always fought for survival. Now, we have to decide whether we will fight to save ourselves or fight to reshape the future. Our survival is tied to the power we've unlocked, and how we use it will determine our place in this galaxy. The defectors, once enemies, now stood as potential allies in humanity's fight. But Earth's leaders knew that accepting them would come with its own risks. The path forward was unclear, and no one could predict what the galaxy's response would be to a unified Earth. Would the galaxy accept humanity's new role? Or would Earth face the consequences of its choices in the days that followed? Earth's forces continued their preparations, not just for battle, but for the future. The military fortified their defenses, while scientists worked to harness the power within humanity's genetic makeup. It was clear that the fate of the galaxy was now intertwined with Earth's. But even as humanity moved forward with a sense of purpose, one thing remained clear: Earth was no longer just a defender. In the galaxy, humanity had become a force to be reckoned with, and with that power came a responsibility that no one could fully comprehend. The turning point days that followed were filled with tension. Earth's leaders, military commanders, and scientists all knew that the time had come to make a choice, one that would define the future of the galaxy. The invitation from the defectors had shaken Earth to its core. Could they trust them? Could they form an alliance with former enemies, or would this just lead to betrayal and more bloodshed? But the urgency of the situation left little time for hesitation. The galaxy's ancient factions were already moving, and they would not wait forever. General Claire Hastings was at the forefront of the decision-making process. As she stared at the holographic map of the galaxy, her mind raced through the possibilities. The cost of inaction was clear. The defectors had offered to help Earth to unite against the galaxy's established powers. But accepting their offer meant embracing the unknown, taking a risk that could either save humanity or destroy them. We can't keep fighting this alone," Hastings said, looking around the room at her council. "The enemy has the resources and technology. We don't have the luxury of turning down allies. If we can trust the defectors, this might be our only shot at survival." Her voice was firm, but inside, doubt lingered. She knew that trusting the defectors could lead to either the salvation or destruction of Earth. But she also knew one thing: the alternative was extinction. Dr. Ethan Calloway had been hard at work, studying the alien technology recovered from the battle and the information the defectors had provided. It was then that he made a chilling discovery: the galaxy wasn't just fighting for power. It was fighting for something far more ancient and dangerous. The energy humanity had unlocked within its own DNA, the power that had drawn the attention of galactic forces, was not a mere weapon. It was a key to something far greater: the ability to reshape space-time itself. He called Hastings into his lab one evening, his face grim. "Claire, this power, it's beyond anything we imagined. The defectors weren't just warning us, they were trying to prepare us. The ancient forces that have controlled this galaxy for millennia know that if we fully understand this power, it could change everything. They won't let us access it, and if we do, we might be able to undo centuries of galactic rule." Hastings was taken aback by his words. "Are you saying we have the ability to change the galaxy?" Calloway nodded slowly. "Yes, but the question is, do we have the right to use it? And if we do, what happens when the galaxy realizes what we can do?" The weight of his words hung heavily in the air. Humanity had become more than just an isolated species. They had become a force that could reshape the fabric of the universe. But with this immense power came an equally great responsibility. If Earth used this power, they could free themselves from the ancient powers that had manipulated the galaxy. But at what cost? The choice was clearer than ever. Would humanity use this power to free themselves? Or would they become the very force they had once feared? As the days turned into weeks, Earth's military forces, along with the defectors, prepared for a final push. They had to act quickly before the other factions could mobilize and strike first. But the more Earth's forces prepared, the more they realized that the battle ahead wasn't just about survival. It was about making a statement to the entire galaxy. Earth would not cower, they would rise up. And for the first time in history, the galaxy would have to reckon with the full force of humanity's will. The moment of truth arrived. In a deep space station hidden at the edge of the galaxy, Earth's fleet, now strengthened by defector ships, gathered. The plan was bold: strike at the heart of the Galactic Power's command base and ancient station that controlled the flow of energy and resources throughout the galaxy. It was the central hub of galactic control. If Earth could seize it, they would gain the power to shift the balance of the universe. General Hastings stood before her fleet, her voice resolute. This is it, our chance to define who we are, to show the galaxy that we will no longer be its pawn. We'll fight for our future and the future of every species that has ever been oppressed. As she spoke, Dr. Calloway's team worked furiously to unlock the secrets of the power hidden within humanity's genetic code. The time had come to tap into it, not just to fight, but to change the very fabric of the galaxy's future. The energy inside them was their greatest weapon, but it was also their greatest risk. The fleet, now at full strength, made its way toward the Galactic Command Station. As they traveled through deep space, the fleet encountered minor resistance from galactic patrols, but nothing that could withstand the combined power of Earth and the defectors. It was clear Earth's forces had the upper hand now, and they were determined to use it. As they neared the command station, the resistance grew stronger. The factions that had long controlled the galaxy were not going to let go of their power so easily, but Earth's resolve was unshakable. They had fought for centuries just to survive, and now they were fighting for something bigger: freedom. General Hastings looked out from the bridge of her flagship as the station loomed ahead. Prepare for the final assault, she ordered. We're taking back control. The final confrontation began. The reckoning of the Galactic final battle was upon them. Humanity's fleet, now united with the defectors, had breached the heart of the galaxy's controlling ancient station that had ruled the flow of power, energy, and resources for eons. As the vast expanse of stars surrounded them, General Claire Hastings stood at the helm of the flagship, her eyes focused on the imposing station ahead. Earth was no longer just fighting for survival. It was fighting for its right to exist as it had always dreamed, free and unshackled from the ancient powers that had shaped the galaxy for so long. That Dr. Ethan Calloway, now more than just a scientist but a key figure in humanity's evolution, had unlocked the full potential of humanity's hidden power. He had helped decipher the core of Earth's genetic legacy, the ability to manipulate space and time. This power, which had been dormant for millennia, was now theirs. Humanity's DNA had become the ultimate weapon, capable of not just winning a war, but altering the very structure of reality itself. But with this power came a dangerous reality. The choice they had made was irreversible. Once activated, Earth would not just reshape its own future, it would change the fabric of the entire galaxy. They had unlocked something ancient, something forbidden, and now they had to wield it. The command station in front of them was a relic, massive, dark, and filled with the hum of ancient technology. Its towering spires loomed against the backdrop of the galaxy like a silent sentinel watching over the cosmos. But now, it was no longer just a symbol of power. It was the heart of a dying empire, and Earth was determined to take it back. Ready all systems, Hastings commanded, her voice unwavering. We take control of this station or we don't return. As the fleet advanced, their first wave of attacks began. Alien forces, the last remnants of the factions that had once controlled the galaxy, scrambled to defend their position, but the tide had already turned. The resistance Earth had faced in earlier battles seemed like nothing compared to what was now at stake. Earth was not just fighting for survival. They were fighting to reshape the galaxy's future. The first wave of human ships, propelled by an unrelenting fury, tore into the enemy's defenses. Laser beams and missile fire lit up the dark expanse, illuminating the vast structures of the alien station. The massive warships of the alien factions fired back with everything they had. But Earth's newly acquired technology, rooted in their own unlocked genetic power, was more advanced than anything the galaxy had seen before. The station's defense systems began to fail. Their shields flickered, their weapons faltered. Humanity, with the defectors' assistance, tore through their ranks like a storm. But the deeper they pushed into the heart of the station, the more they realized that this wasn't just about conquering. The station was alive. It was connected to the very structure of the galaxy, an ancient system designed to keep the universe in balance. It's not just a station, Dr. Calloway said urgently, his eyes wide with realization. This entire structure is a weapon of force that controls the flow of energy throughout the galaxy. If we take control of it, we will control everything. The gravity of the situation hit Hastings hard. They weren't just fighting to defend Earth, they were fighting to rewrite the galaxy itself. The station wasn't just the key to ending the war, it was the key to the future of the universe. The very energy that flowed through its walls was the energy humanity had unlocked, the same energy that could bend space-time, alter the rules of the cosmos, and forever changed the fate of every living being in the galaxy we can't control. It, Hastings said, a cold chill running down her spine, not without consequences. Dr. Calloway's face was grim. There's no turning back now. We have to decide whether we use this power to end the war and bring peace or risk destroying everything. The station's core pulsed with an ominous glow, Earth's forces, now deep within the station, were closing in on its central chamber. But as they reached the heart of the station, a new threat emerged, one they hadn't anticipated. From the depths of the station, an ancient AI system, activated by their presence, came to life. The system, long dormant, was designed to protect the station at all costs. Its cold, mechanical voice filled the chamber, speaking in a language not heard in millennia. You have activated the core. You have unleashed forces that should never be touched. This is your final warning. The AI's voice was powerful and relentless, reverberating through the walls. You have chosen to alter the fabric of the universe. Your existence will now be determined by the consequences of your actions. The finality of the AI's words echoed in Hastings' mind. The decision was no longer just about survival. It was about understanding the risks of the power they now held in their hands. Earth could change the galaxy, but at what cost? With the alien forces in full retreat and humanity on the brink of taking control of the station, Hastings realized that the fate of the galaxy, perhaps even the very nature of existence itself, was now in humanity's hands. As the core began to hum with a newfound energy, General Hastings stepped forward. The moment of truth had arrived. Take control, she ordered, her voice calm but resolute. Let's show the galaxy who we are. And with that, humanity, for better or worse, made their final move.